What is up, college football fans? What is up, Clemson Tiger fans? Happy Sunday. You guys know what I say. Every day above ground is a great day as far as I'm concerned, and every day is a great day to be a Clemson Tiger. Well, welcome to week 2 of the State of the Fan address for Clemson football. And the first half of that game had us questioning the entire program. I don't really think, I'm trying to think back to when's the last time that Clemson played that bad of a half of football? 2022 maybe with DJ. I can't really remember. There's a bunch of bad games with DJ, but I talk about not being able to do anything. Absolutely anything right. Obviously, we'll talk a little bit about the first half. We'll talk a little bit about the second half. But in retrospect, if you look around, if you watch a lot of football like me, other than just Clemson, I know some fans only watch their own team and that's it. I watch all of football. So if you looked around the country yesterday, there was a ton of teams that rode the struggle bus against lower classification teams, and some of them even lost to them. So that doesn't make what we saw in the first half of that game any better. But it was at least somewhat reassuring to see them get their head out of their you-know-what and go out there and play football the way that we expect them to play football, quite frankly, with the amount of talent they have on that team. And I'm almost sick of talking about talent at this point. It's time to execute. And going forward here, now we're getting into ACC play, and the path to the playoffs for the Clemson Tigers is to win the ACC. I just don't believe that if they don't win the ACC, they're going to make it in the playoffs. But right now they don't look like a playoff team anyway. So they're going to have to continue to improve throughout the year. A little bit of a weird yesterday around the country as well with all the weather delays and stuff. I don't really know how that much that affects these teams. I look at that as, you know how the people in the Big Ten, Ohio State fans, Michigan fans, Penn, whatever, the northern teams are always talking about how no southern team wants to come up there and play in the cold weather. They can't handle the cold weather, blah, blah, blah. Well, it's cold for both teams. I look the weather delay thing is sort of the same situation, right? It's not just a weather delay for Clemson, or it's not just a weather delay for University of South Carolina against South Carolina State. It also a weather delay for Troy. And by the way, when that weather delay happened in Clemson yesterday, guess who had the momentum in the game? So Troy goes right down the field on their opening drive, scores 75-yard drive in like 3 minutes, scores. Clemson comes in, 3 and out, one run with Adam Randall, a couple of passes, 3 and out, punt. Then the weather delay happens. So at that point, Troy's the one that loses momentum with the weather delay, and not Clemson. Now, when they came out of the weather delay, guess who still had the momentum? Troy. This was just, it was almost comical how bad Clemson was. Everything that could go wrong went wrong. They, again, refused to commit to the run in the first half for some reason. It blows my mind. After everything we heard all week, Dabo Swinney acknowledged that they should have committed to the run against LSU, and they abandoned the run game. This is a theme going back many years now. This isn't just the LSU game or the first half against Troy game. They've done this in playoff games. This has been an issue where they just refuse, for whatever reason, they want to go out there and play 7-on-7 drills and just throw the ball over the yard and expect to beat people. These teams are not going to allow you just to throw the ball on them 50 times. They're just not going to do it. Not in today's football. So anyway, they decided to abandon the run in the first half. Some bad turnovers. Adam Randall had a pretty bad fumble. The offensive line couldn't block, just like we saw against LSU. Cade Klubnik made some bad decisions, again, like we saw against LSU. It just was all around bad in the first half. And I guess you got to give credit to Troy. They frankly looked like the more prepared team to start the game out, and the team that wanted to win more. And that came through in spades through the TV screen, or for those of you that were at the game. The Boo Birds came out in Clemson. I think after the game, Dabo Swinney said that he felt like booing too, which I thought was kind of funny considering the situation. But anyway, the second half. Now, this is why stats are so misleading, because if you didn't watch that game last night from start to finish, let's say you just tuned in for the second half, you'd be like, "Man, Clemson looks like a totally different team they did. They look great." But if you watch the entire game, you know it was the tale of two halves. It was two different stories. So, but if you look at the stat line, it looks like Klubnik had a pretty good day. 18 of 24, 196 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's 75% completion percentage. That's not bad. But again, most of that came in the second half. They refused to run the ball with any authority in the first half. The second half, they committed to the run, and oh my God, it's almost like what Pigskin Pete's been saying for the past 2 weeks is actually true. That if you establish a run game, it opens up the passing game, and great things start to happen for your offense. It's amazing. I don't know how does the Clemson football coaching staff not know this, and I do. I'm just an idiot on YouTube. Anyway, Randall ended the day great. 21 carries, which is what he should be getting at least. Whether it's him or somebody else, that's a different conversation to have. 21 carries for 112 yards and a touchdown. Again, he did have that one bad fumble. But he also busted off one pretty long run. I think he ran for a 30-yard run in the second half. At the very beginning of the second half on that first drive, he busted off a 30-yard run. But he was solid in the run game yesterday. And I think the more touches he gets, the better. Hopefully, since he is playing a different position now than he ever played throughout high school and college, I think there is room for growth throughout the year. But in order for that growth to happen, it's not going to happen just in practice. Obviously, practice is important, but it's going to happen on the football field in real game situations. So I think from this point forward, if this is who they're committing to, which it does seem that that's the case now, I think we can all say that. Then he needs to get a minimum of 20 carries a game or more, a minimum. Look, he may have some games where he's not great. So what? Ride with it, because you just can't abandon the run game. You may as well just give up the season if you do. So I'm about to say I'm proud of Randall. I'm happy that they decided to use him in the second half yesterday, and it paid off again, both in the run game and in the pass game. Wesco was on fire yesterday. Our reliable receiver. Antonio Williams is still hurt, and obviously it's not great having him out for the game or whatever. But we've got enough wide receivers where if one goes down, that shouldn't be shutting down our passing game. And Wesco showed up yesterday in spades. They threw it to him 7 times. He caught the ball 7 times, 118 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he was really the star of the day. Wesco was. So shout out to Bryant Wesco. And I don't know what the status of Antonio Williams is going to be going into the Georgia Tech game this week. If it's even questionable whether or not he's 100% healthy or not, I wouldn't play him. Obviously, we miss him, but that's the type of injury that if you come back too early, then it can be a problem all season. And if it comes down to the end in the ACC, and we need him to make it to Charlotte, then I'd rather have him later in the season than against Georgia Tech. So that's how I feel about that. The defense, I thought played pretty well. I mean, obviously that first drive that Troy went right down on the field on, had them on their heels, and blown coverage there for that touchdown pass. That was obviously not good. And again, based on the way the offense was playing in the first half, they kept the defense on the field. The defense was put in bad situations again on the field all the time. And I will give credit to Troy. I really like that quarterback they have. He's a baller. Now they just don't have the guys around him to compete with Clemson for 4 quarters, which is what we ended up seeing yesterday. They got completely shut out in the second half. I mean, they scored 16 points in the first half. They scored 0 points in the second half. Clemson's defense had 4 sacks and 3 interceptions. So were they perfect? No, but that second half, I mean, they just were unbelievable, which is what we expected to see from them all year. Again, this is against a group of 5 team, so you got to take it with a grain of salt. The first half was just so bad that it was unbelievable. Now I'm repeating myself. This week we've got to travel to Georgia Tech, so our first road game of the year, which might be a good thing. Clemson hasn't played great in their past few games in Death Valley, so maybe going on the road will wake them up a little bit. I don't know. This could be an interesting game here. Now, Georgia Tech's defense is average. I don't think it's great. I don't think it's terrible. It's average. I think that's good news for Cade Klubnik and company. I don't think they have as well. I know they don't have near the pass rush situation that what LSU had. And so hopefully also that the run blocking will be better for Clemson too against that defensive line of Georgia Tech, and we can run the ball, establish a run with Adam Randall and or Gideon Davidson or whatever. And Klubnik's gonna have to play smarter. That's just all there is to it. The problem comes is with Haynes King. Now Haynes King missed this week, or they kept him out of this week. Because of some sort of a leg injury. I don't know if they specified exactly what it was, but I have a feeling he'll be ready to go against Clemson. I think the reason they kept him out of the game yesterday is so that they could make sure that he was ready for Clemson, because I think that Georgia Tech knows in order to beat Clemson, most likely Haynes King's going to have to play, and Haynes King's going to have a big day. And he is the type of player to give Clemson's defense problems. Mobile quarterback. He's a smart player. We don't really talk about him as a passer very much, but he's capable. You know what I mean? He's not DJ Lagway. Boy, that was DJ Lagway is just terrible. Anyway, listen, I'm not going to get off on a Florida thing here, but yeah, Haynes King is perfectly capable of giving Clemson fits. So this is not a game any Clemson fan, well, I don't think any Clemson fan right now that's really being honest with themselves is taking any game lightly, let alone one against a team like Georgia Tech with a dual threat veteran quarterback like Haynes King. So having said all that, the key to the game is obvious. You're going to have to figure out a way to contain Haynes King in the run game. If you can do that, most likely Clemson will walk out of Bobby Dodd with a big fat dub, and they need one badly. So anyway, I'll be there. Holler at your boy. I will be there with the 2 Georgia Tech legends on YouTube, Rec Talk and Sea Dog. I'll also be there with a couple of other guys, Jay Shipes and Hufferbilly Paul. So anyway, we're gonna have a good time. I'll be posting where we're at and stuff on the X machine. Anybody wants to come say hello, have a drink with us, whatever, you're more than welcome to do so. I've never been to Bobby Dodd, never been to a Georgia Tech game in Atlanta. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it a lot. So anyway, that's it. That's the state of the fan address for week 2. I'll see you guys soon. Have a great rest of your Sunday.